How's it going, ladies and bruises up? I'm Sixkilla. Welcome back to the VII Enigma. In the last episode, we ended with a bad end number 6, I believe, where we fell down the stairs and died. This time we're going to wait for the others, and hopefully find that Pandora's box prototype temper system. Let's find out. As curious as I am to see what's down there, it might be a good idea to wait for Levi and Amelia and all go together. Ika closes the hatch doors and then turns to address the group. I agree. We don't know what the founder has waiting for us when we find it, and we want Amelia and Levi to be with us when that happens. It's better for us to use the rest of today to unpack and settle into the space while Amelia and Levi recoup. That makes sense. Good idea, Ika. Yeah, it'd be good if we're all there, sharp and ready to go when we get to Pandora's box. Alright, sounds like we have a plan. Okay, let's get those supplies unpacked and start preparing for dinner. Right. Well, we did it. We're here. So their tracks lead to this cabin? That's correct, sir. The trail goes cold from here, though. A group of officers bustle around the cabin searching for clues as Beckett receives the report from the commanding officer. Found anything of significance here? No, sir. I don't believe we will either. It seems pretty unremarkable location. Looks like just used it as a stopover to en route to elsewhere. How long ago did it look like they left? Hard to say, but with no residual heat signatures, it'd have to be more than several hours. You said the trail went cold? Any indication of how they left or where they were headed? We found some tire tracks a short distance from here. The tracks disappeared once they meet the nearest road, though. Damn it! We haven't noticed anything strange on the vehicle scanners either. That means it could be anywhere by now. We've reactivated an available satellite. So the satellite image surveillance system is now almost complete. It's only effective for the city and the city surrounds, though. Unfortunately, it may not be effective in low-light situations. Too little too late. Well, unless they're stupid enough to try come back to the city. Still, it's better than nothing. Right, was that all, officer? Yes, sir. I'm gonna get some fresh air and look around. Report to me if you find anything useful. Yes, sir. Beckett takes a stroll outside, and after a few minutes of looking around, he finds himself at the top of a ridge behind the cabin, overlooking the city. Pretty, isn't it? Surprised, Beckett darts around at the shrill voice. It was a man's voice, but harbored an unsettling, raised-pitched tone. Who are you? And what are you doing here, sneaking up on an agent? Beckett's hand starts to reach for his concealed weapon when the man responds. Oh dear, I didn't mean to startle you, Agent Beckett. I just thought it'd be nice to meet the man I heard so much about, particularly given all this trouble you seem to be facing at the moment. Eyes squinted as he evaluates the situation. Beckett leaves his hand at the ready to draw his gun as he engages the man. How do you know who I am? Oh, I know all kinds of things, you see. Things I should know. Things I shouldn't know. I can see it would be very confusing for a man like yourself. A man like myself? Just who are you? Oh, whoops. Introductions. How terribly out of order of me. I do apologize. The man's sing-song-like speech is off-putting to Beckett, who was growing increasingly frustrated at his inability to grasp the intentions of the man before him. My name is Lionel Lewis. A pleasure to meet you, Agent Beckett. Lionel Lewis? I've heard that name. Lionel Lewis. As in head of Niaz Corp? Correct. Although I do have to say I feel reborn as of late, but correct you remain. I was planning an observation for a while longer, but seeing you here alone, overlooking the city in the moonlight, well, I simply couldn't resist. Beckett withdraws his hand from his gun, and although his posture relaxes slightly, he maintains a cautious stance. It was you who came down to the tunnels and were keeping an eye on us, wasn't it? Can I ask why you've been spying on us, and why you're here now? Someone as powerful as you could have asked what I just asked, I would have presumed. Yes, I could have, I suppose. Wanted to see what you were up to when you weren't aware my eye was on you. After all, it seems there may be some great divergences, and I wanted to see for myself. I must say, I can't understand the faith placed in you, given what I've seen. I'm sorry to tell you. What are you referring to? I heard a similar thing just recently, actually. Oh, your little conference with the Watcher, yes. Well, it seems we have all been given a similar directive after all. You know about that? I take it you've had a leadership position at the Bureau. Makes sense for someone as powerful as yourself. Well, something like that, I guess you could say. Bosk does like to keep its leaders a secret nowadays, so I can't tell you anything outright, of course. Though I do have to tell you, I'm disappointed with what I've seen from you. I guess you just have to trust the information I've been given. It comes from a great source, after all. I'm sorry to be such a big disappointment. Anyway, would you like to tell me what's going on? A lot of strange stuff is happening around me as of late, and to be frank, this just adds to it. Oh yes, all will be revealed. I hope you appreciate that I have to be careful with what information I give out. After all, I don't want to make this little situation any worse. Well, is there anything you can tell me? I think you must be able to appreciate how strange a man such as yourself appearing out of nowhere could be. Shh! Tell me, Agent Beckett. What do you see? Ignoring Beckett's question, Lionel suddenly shifts his tone as he motions out toward the city on the horizon. Huh? I said, what do you see? What do I see? The city. Yes, but what do you see when you look at the city? I'm not sure what to say. I see the city, the place I work, the place I and many others live. Not a very thoughtful answer for an agent. Let me tell you what I see then. I see order, and I see disruption. I see potential, but I see the opposing entropy. I see the city is not complete. It is still a rebellious child that we must bring to maturity. The contrast of his speech to his earlier tone almost causes Beckett to freeze before he catches himself and forces a reply. I'm not sure I take your meaning. It seems pretty under control to me. No, it is only under the illusion of control. It is really just a false sense of order. One we hope to put right soon. One we must put right. Anyway, here, take this. Lionel flicks over a card to Beckett, returning his earlier light-hearted tone. Yes, antiquated, I know, but there seems to be something so romantic about these old business cards. Contact that number to arrange a time with my PA. I simply must have you over to chat more. I have to keep moving. It was a pleasure, Agent Beckett. I will see you soon. The man swiftly retreats back into the shadows, leaving Beckett perplexed at the odd encounter. Looking down at the business card decorated with Gothic-style art, Beckett mutters to himself, "That's when I thought things couldn't get more bizarre." After dinner, Jasper approaches Elijah and Ica in the main research room. I need to speak with you both about something. It's very important. Yes, now it's fine. What is it? I was searching through the archive files we recovered from the last Tempest machine, just like you asked, Ica, and I found something. What did you find? I found a backup of the very first Tempest message ever sent. You mean the initial message sent from Line 0 to save the world? That's the one. The one sent back from 2059 back to 2044. Right. So, did you find anything unusual about it? Was what we know from Bosk and what the founder told us about the pandemic true? Yes, that all checks out. There were a lot of files, research data, vaccine instructions, video evidence. It was a huge data pack, just like you'd expect of a message sent to save the world from a pandemic. There was no way it was fabricated. Well, I guess that straightens out at least one of my suspicions. Apart from some missing design files, nothing was out of the ordinary. That is, with one big exception. What did you find? There was an additional video file included in the message that we weren't told about. In fact, that is probably because there is nobody alive who knows it exists. How could there be a file that Bosk doesn't know about? It was a personal message bundled in among the other data, and it was addressed to Dr. Elijah Shaw. To me? What for? It's from Tara, right? Well, I guess the you from the original timeline knew that sending a message back to 2044 would mean the first people to see the message would be yourself and Dr. Tara Evans. After all, you were the two working on the original receiver, and were the two present when it was first switched on. I see. So knowing they would be the first to receive the message, Dr. Elijah Shaw included a personal message for his past self. What'd the message say? It's not going to be what you're expecting. It'd probably be easier just to play you the message. Should I do that for you both now? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, 1 second, I'll get it loaded up. Jasper sets up his tablet, then with a blinding speed locates the file. Here we go. Hello. I understand how strange this must be, receiving all this information shortly after activating the receiver for the first time. Probably even more so, getting a message from yourself 15 years in the future. I decided to record this as an audio-only message. I didn't want to send you into a panic attack having to view your own aged face. Let's just say time wasn't too kind. As you can tell from the attached information, our world is, well, essentially over. If you're hearing this message, it means that we were successful, and you shouldn't have to live through the hell that we've had to live through. Report this information to the government straight away. The evidence attached is overwhelming. If you act quickly, we should be able to alter the future and save countless lives. This isn't the reason for this audio message though. The reason I'm sending this message is a personal one. A selfish one really. In fact, what I'm dumping on you is probably a terribly unfair request to you. Well, to myself I suppose you could say. Even still, I can only feel it as the right course to take. It is true that this world has been largely a terrible one for all involved. There is at least one exception though. There was one thing that was my light, my one solace and my one reason to go on living. What's he speaking about? I cannot forget. After all we've been through to this point, I cannot let the world roll on as if it never happened. A waver enters the voice coming through the small speakers, along with a soft sniffing sound. Is he crying? The voice pushes on in a croaky tone with the occasional pause and waver. By sending these files to 2044 and stopping the pandemic, I will end up altering the timeline significantly. That is the objective, really. And in doing so, we could end up saving 8 billion lives. Up to 8 billion lives. And in doing so, I'll almost certainly change the timeline so that all of it will be forgotten. Erased completely. I must protect her legacy from that fate. This is my final task, and the only reason I can bring myself to send this message, knowing what it will erase. However, the only way I can save her legacy is to send it within my memories. Nothing else will do. Nothing else will suffice. After all, we worked on together, and where we ended up, to do any less would be to lose too much. In his memories? What's he talking about? So I chose to scan my brain and digitize my brain data related to my memories. Everything I've ever experienced now lies with you in digital form. As you would well know, turning brain information into digital data isn't too difficult. However, being able to decipher it and beyond that, transfer it to the human brain, it is basically an impossibility. Even so, I have sent them through. After all, if I'm honest with myself, this whole exercise is just my pathetic attempt to cling on to what I have, to alleviate some guilt, to perhaps reach a future I could be content with. So I'm asking you, to my past self, please work in a way so that you can remember what it is I'm speaking of. That's the orb that fucking twat man has, Beckett. I'll say no more, so that you can remember it all yourself. Let that be your motivation. We need that orb back. Find a way to transfer digital data into a human brain and discover her legacy for yourself. I wish there was another way, but unfortunately, despite my years of searching, there is not. What I'm asking of you is unfair, but this is the only way I can think of to try and atone for the sin of what I've erased. Finally, please remove and hide this file along with the digitized brain information before you alert the authorities of the pandemic-related data. There is much for them to do in order to save the world from the horrid virus, and I prefer for this information to remain private. Thank you. Make the future a good one. We're counting on you. At the message's end, the trio stand for a while in stunned silence. I'm sorry to have to spring this on you. I guess it's quite a lot to process. It is quite unbelievable. What were these memories he needed to protect? They clearly meant a great deal to him. It seems your past self had some information he needs passed on. It's hard to discern what it is, though, from that message. Yeah, it all seemed quite vague. To be honest, I'm not sure what to say or how to feel right now. He spoke of her legacy, and also about something being erased. I'm not sure why he didn't just send the information directly in the data pack, though. Why do it by scanning the memories in this way? Why was that so significant to him? That would make more sense unless the act of remembering itself was part of what makes it significant in the first place. Perhaps the legacy they spoke of was some research or discovery he and Dr. Tyra made. Perhaps something they didn't want falling into the wrong hands, so they sent it as brain data. They could use it as a form of security, so nobody else could access it. I don't know about that, but the rest is beginning to make sense. What's beginning to make sense? When we first found you, I assumed you had used a device to wipe your memory to avoid detection, but maybe that wasn't what happened at all. Perhaps it was just a fortunate or perhaps unfortunate byproduct. What are you saying? Looks like you'd actually attempted to transfer your memories from that last timeline, and it failed somehow. Right, it seems so obvious now that he mentions it. I think that's exactly what happened, especially given the information you found in the logs about the orb Elijah had built secretly in the tunnels. This whole time, all those mini loops, they were an attempt to build the device to honour the last wish of the Dr. Shaw from Line 0. I think you're both right. There really is no denying it. I guess the device I tried to build ultimately failed, and I just ended up erasing my memories completely. The version of me from this timeline really was a failure. Don't say that, Elijah. It was an unreasonable request of your past self. He said so as much in his message. Transferring digital data into the brain is on a whole other level of difficulty than even Tempest technology. The brain is vastly more complicated than we can imagine. Coming back to what you said before, Elijah, I think you were right. It was the failure of the device that caused you to lose your memories, but I don't think you actually erased them completely. Remember, I scanned your brain. I could see what was going on. With this new information, it actually all makes sense now. Tell us, Jasper, what did it do to him? When I scanned your brain, it seemed more like a newborn's, at least in relation to the areas used for memory recall and emotionally significant events. Your brain was trying to make connections, but it didn't seem to know how. I also noticed evidence of chaotic neural firing that I assume was just a byproduct of the device, but now I have a different theory. What is your theory? My theory is the device you built attempted to transfer the brain data and memory recall patterns, but it failed to perfectly sync with your brain from this timeline. Remember the analogy I gave you earlier about how the memories are like the destination, and the brainwaves or neural firing patterns are like the roads that bring them to your conscious thoughts? Yeah, I remember. Even if the memories are in the brain, without the associated ability for the neurons to locate them out of habit, you can't access them. Exactly. Now imagine you double the memories, or double the destinations, to use our analogy, but then to access them you have to overlay two different road maps on top of each other. It'd be traffic chaos. I see what you're saying. You're saying even though the transfer of memories is possible, the chaos of having two separate brainwave patterns or two different sets of neural habits would cause the brain to misfire completely. Well put, that's correct. Essentially what happened is in order to protect your brain, your psyche from these two conflicting brainwave states, your brain basically rebooted your consciousness. In other words, it started again from scratch. That's why you have no memories. The brain is quite flexible and powerful, it can do incredible things to protect itself. So Elijah's brain wiped itself to protect itself. Not quite, the memories are all still there, they're just currently dormant, being overwritten and suppressed by the new brainwave state it invented to protect itself. Think of it this way, there were two conflicting personalities in Elijah's head that couldn't win the fight for dominance, so instead a third one was created by his brain to act as a suppressor and mediator. It is now the dominant personality, and not the other two. Conflicting personalities? Like multiple personality disorder. Similar idea. It's amazing what the brain can do to endure. Multiple personality disorder often occurs as a way for the brain to protect itself from trauma. In that way, this is similar. To mediate between the two conflicting neural pathways established in your mind, which in a sense are conflicting personalities, a fresh slate was created to suppress them both and allow your consciousness to recover. Does that mean eventually I'll be able to remember things from both the sets of memories I have in my head? I don't think so. Though perhaps in small fragments you may. I believe your psyche is likely to fight hard to suppress them in order to protect itself. The new self is likely to remain your dominant self, and it's unclear if you'll ever regain any of those past memories from either timeline. I've had one dream already that I'm now pretty sure was actually a memory. It was the only one I've had so far, so I'm not sure if I'll ever get any more. But whatever happened, it is good you're stable now anyway, Elijah. I get this mustn't be easy to hear, but all we can do now is look forward to what is next. We cannot change what has happened, and we need you in what is coming next. Do you think you can handle that? Ica speaks with strength in his voice, as if testing Elijah's resolve, given this new development. What other choice do I have? It's all I can remember for it to affect me anyway. Yeah, it'll be okay. Honestly, I feel pretty numb to it all now, so don't worry about me. I'll be right here with you. Good. Anyway, I'm sure that's more than enough to stew on for now. Take some time to settle in and process everything you've just heard. Get a good night's sleep. Tomorrow morning, we'll commence our venture down to open Pandora's box. Here we go. That evening, while Elijah was preparing for his first night in the facility, a light voice chimes into the room. Zyla? There you are. I was a little afraid to check in here in case Levi was still sleeping. I heard bad things about how he sleeps. What do you mean? Let's just say he likes to sleep unencumbered. He doesn't cover up. Still not following you. What are you turning into Ica? Guess I have to spell it out. He doesn't wear anything to bed. Jeez, make a girl say it out loud. Oh, sorry. Zyla tosses her head back and laughs in response to Elijah's suddenly awkward response. Oh man, I was just joking around. Don't worry so much. Oh right, yeah, sorry. Guess I'm just a bit out of it at the moment. Do you seem a bit out of it? Your headaches return or anything like that? No, nothing like that. Just found out some pretty unbelievable stuff. What was that? Tell me about it. Elijah is startled by Zyla's proximity and the purity of the eyes that stare into his. Just act normal. Just act normal. Okay then. Elijah explains everything about the message he just heard from his past self. The legacy he must remember, the brain data, and their new theory of the memory transfer device causing his memory issues. That's pretty crazy, I gotta say. Yeah, it is. Almost too much to believe. How do you feel about it all? I'm not sure what I feel. I mean, it was a little vague, but I can understand my past self wanting to preserve some of his memories. He said it himself. It really was just his last-ditch effort to protect something of importance and get rid of his guilt. Also, he could bring himself to send off the Tempest message and save everyone. It's kind of twisted, but it makes sense. There's something else that doesn't add up, though. Perhaps Zyla will have a good thought on it. I just don't understand my earlier actions on this timeline. What do you mean by that? I just don't understand why I went so far to try and carry out my past self's request. What was my incentive? Why spend all those years researching? Then those loops, over and over, to try and plant those memories into his own mind. Surely the me from this timeline was smart enough to know the difficulty and dangers of creating the device. Why would he just want to honour his past self's wishes? After all, he saved the world. Maybe he felt indebted to honor it. Maybe. That's probably a factor, but I'm just not sure if that alone would be enough to incentivize to take the risks and time to do it. You think he had other reasons? I think he must have. The determination he showed was massive. Not only those 80-odd loops, but the fortitude needed to use yourself as the guinea pig. I think there must have been something else at play here. Taking a moment to consider the situation, Zala freezes while looking down in thought. You're probably right. The you from this timeline must have had his own reasons. Perhaps he just wanted the challenge. Or saw the potential as a scientist, and used this as the opportunity. There are plenty of explanations. Maybe. Though, he even faked his own death just to have a chance to work in it outside of Bosk's eye. The more you think about it, the more unbelievable it gets without some other strong reason. Yeah, I don't know, Elijah, the whole thing's just strange. You're telling me. I basically have two other selves in my head. That this personality you have before you is just overriding. I don't even know how much of this personality I have is made up of aspects of them. Am I like them? Are they like me? Can I access their knowledge? It's a bit unsettling. You gonna be okay? I'm fine at the moment. The thought of it's pretty unnerving, but it's not like I'm having any weird flashbacks or anything. In that sense, my brain's doing a great job of protecting itself, so I should be fine as long as it continues. What did Jasper say? Does he think it will? Yeah, he does. He thinks my brain will fight to keep the other memories suppressed, as a way to protect itself. There's no way of knowing, of course, but he seems reasonably confident. Well, for now, just rest in that thought. There are a lot of crazy things happening right now. I don't want this to weigh on you harder than it needs to. I promise I'll be here for you. So, you can just keep looking ahead and rely on us. Zala directs a reaffirming smile towards Elijah. It causes the signs of trepidation to ease from his face. You're right. Compared to how I felt a few days ago, it feels I'm getting more and more, well, together, I guess. I just want to go out there and get the job done now. Good. I'm sure you'll just get stronger and stronger from here. I hope so. What about you? How are you fighting all this? It's all pretty overwhelming, really. Even just finding this facility all ready to use, it's plain bizarre. It's strange, for sure. I just want to hear what the founder wants us to do with Pandora's box. It's weird being left in the dark about everything. I hope he finally gives us a better explanation of what's going on when we play his video tomorrow. Me too, I think he will. Provided it really is down there somewhere. Yeah, still, we made it this far, so we've got to keep moving. Speaking of which, I'm gonna go take a shower. Let's hope the hot water's working in this place. Yeah, that'd be a welcome luxury out here. See you tomorrow. Will do. Good night, Elijah. Oh man, I want to go see Pandora's box. Mess around with it. Late in the evening, Beckett explains his recent conversation with Lionel to his assistant as he seeks to make sense of the strange encounter. So you're certain it was Lionel Lewis? Positive, he said as much. It was much more bizarre than I imagined him, particularly given the high standing of Nayaz Corp. I seem to recall that Nayaz Corp was taking a hit when he inherited it from his father. Things weren't looking good for the company. They weren't. It seems Lionel really turned things around for them. Look it up, and see if you can find any more information on it. Yes sir, let me see what I can find. Okay, let's see here. He inherited it 15 years ago from his father. That we already know. Is that Wikipedia? The assistant mumbles as he reads the information in search of what he's looking for. Ah, here it is. You're right, the value of the company has gone up tremendously in recent years. I wonder why. Let's look up more info about Lionel, his education, achievements, that kind of thing. Okay, 1 second. Ah, here it is. He went to Primus School in the East Sector. Not really a surprise for a rich kid to go to the most prestigious school. Any information on how he was a student? He graduated top of his class and went on to their continuing studies division. So he's not just purely riding the success of his parents, I see. What did he study after finishing school? It seems he started in sciences. Let me see. He achieved first-class honours in engineering physics before completing his summer paper 3 years later. He completed the Summa qualification. What in? That's the highest award they give. Not only that, he went on to lecture at Viribus University for a time. To answer your question, his Summa thesis seems to be in a slightly different field to his undergraduate. It says it was a crossover paper between fundamental physics and philosophy titled Patterns of Fundamental Organization Within Quantum Fields. I understand how engineering physics would apply to his work in Nayaz Corp, but that paper seems a little abstract given his work now. It's also strange he doesn't go by the title of Doctor, given a Summa qualification, isn't it? It is. Perhaps he sees it as secondary to his work in Nayaz Corp. I'm not sure, sir. He's an unusual person after all. Might be hard to try and make sense of his behaviour. It's interesting to note that he isn't just crazy, a crazy spoilt rich guy though. There may be something more to him. His list of achievements and inventions there seem to speak for themselves. It seems I have misjudged him. Okay, is there anything interesting you can find on Nias Corp there? Nothing out of the ordinary. As we know, they are the two most esteemed subcontracting technology company. They are the most esteemed subcontracting technology company. They are the ones who build and maintain the Tempest technology, for example. They have a director who is always directly accountable to Bosk, who, as we know, is Lionel Lewis. I was wondering about that. This man was the same man who had been snooping around in the tunnels. His shoes matched an issue, given only to the highest level of Bosk leadership. Is it possible he now has a leadership position within Bosk as well as his work for Nias Corp? I suppose it wouldn't be too surprising. It'd be easier for both parties concerned in some sense. For his company, they now have influence within Bosk. For Bosk, they now have one of their own, making sure the Tempest technology is kept safe. Bosk would have enforced their own leader within Nias Corp anyway if Lionel had not been compliant, so perhaps this is the obvious solution. True. If he's as intelligent as he seems, he may very well be playing the game with Bosk, so to speak, though I doubt he would do anything to defy them. He seems to be more the type to manipulate for personal interest. I'm not sure, sir, I haven't met the man, though from what I see here, I'd be surprised if he wasn't being incredibly thoughtful in his actions, particularly given Bosk's overwhelming power. He acts like a lunatic, but has the mind of a genius. Why does a man of such importance have an interest in me? That is the real question. Beckett looks down at the business card left behind by Lionel, fidgeting and circling it with his fingers as he furrows his brow in thought. Lionel, is he an ally, an enemy, or something else entirely? It isn't clear if he's truly on Bosk's side, or if he's up to something else. I have to be wary. For the moment, despite my suspicions, he still clearly outranks me within Bosk. Whatever his motivations, he is clearly of incredible intelligence. I cannot underestimate his cunning based on his persona. For now, I need to go along with him, and try to gain more information and see if this has any connection to the emergence of Dr. Shaw. The voice of his assistant snaps Beckett back out of his questioning thoughts. Do you plan on calling and organising a meeting with him, sir? I don't think I have much of a choice. He made it seem flippant and optional, though I very much doubt that's the case. I get the feeling he wants to size me up. With what happened last night and also everything with the watches recently, it makes me think I'm caught up in something much bigger than myself. It may even have something to do with Dr. Elijah Shaw. You're probably right, though I guess you won't know until you go and see him. That's true. He's been watching me and seems to be aware of everything I've been doing as of late. There's no point trying to hide and no point lying to him. I get the feeling this encounter is going to decide my fate for good or for ill, as they say. What will you say to him then? Just what I think. It's that simple. I've never defied Bosk, and until recently never failed them either. I've given everything to climb above the rabble of my upbringing. What he chooses to do with that is beyond my control. If there is one thing I've learned in my life, it is that this attitude always yields better results than the alternatives. I'll confront this straight on. Very well, sir. In that case, I take it you want me to call and organise you an appointment. Yes, please do. Anytime that suits him. Okay, I'll do that first thing in the morning, sir. This will be either the end of a new day, either the end or a new beginning for us. Inform me at once of our meeting time and location when it's been organised. Turning his back on his assistant as he heads toward the exit, Beckett mutters to himself, Lionel, I wonder what game you're playing at. January 28th, 2060. So still in current time, the group gathers in the main facility room following their breakfast. Anticipation fills the air as they ready themselves to travel down the ladder toward Pandora's box. Levi and Amelia, I trust you both have recovered well and are ready to come with us today. All good here, boss. Ready to go. Didn't take me much to be back at it. Still, I find it's pretty weird that this is the only access to the level below. I just hope it's actually down there. It appears that it's just an access hatch. It probably only leads to the electricals and pipework and perhaps a small utility room. I doubt it's a whole level down there. No point just talking about it, let's find out. Everyone ready to head down? I'm ready. Should be. Jasper, you brought everything we need? Sure have. Notice who brought the files from the founder. Once you open Pandora's box, we can also use it as a monitor to play those video files. He wanted us to wait until we're at Pandora's box to view his files, so I'm guessing that's for a reason. We might finally get some answers from that founder of ours. I still don't like all his secrets he's been keeping. Knowing him, we'll have some questions answered, and even more to ask by the end of it. Okay, well it sounds like we're good to go. Let's do it. After opening the hatch, they start to make their way down the imposing ladder while holding their torches to illuminate the descent before them. The darkness is broken only by the streaks of light created by their flashlights. and the small amount of light entering through the open hatch above. Careful, guys. There's always a chance the ladder is damaged in places, so keep an eye on what you're grabbing onto. Some of these rungs are feeling pretty weak. I sure hope it'll hold my weight. They should do. This facility's old, but not too old. Keep your eyes peeled just in case. The group takes a slower pace in the thick darkness, ensuring they don't make a careless mistake. They climb down the ladder for some time before Zyla calls out to the group. Hold on. Looks like a small amount of water has leaked onto the ladder in this section. Not sure from where, but that isn't a good sign. Be careful not to slip. Okay, we'll be careful. They continue on down the ladder for a few more steps before Zyla, who is taking the lead, suddenly cries out, "Whoa! Zyla? You okay?" Zyla's legs dangle without support as she clutches onto the ladder rung with both arms. She then pulls herself back up a few rungs using only her arms until her legs find a support again to take her weight. Oh, phew. Yeah, I'm fine. Though only just. It looks like the water leak has caused some of the ladder rungs to corrode. When I put my feet on it, it snapped off completely. If you snapped it and you weigh as much as paper, I'll be falling all the way down if I step foot down there. Zyla, use your flashlight. How many rungs appear to be affected? Let me see. The leak only seems to enter here from running along this pipe, but it runs all the way down. So above where we are, it looks like the rungs are unaffected, but below us they could all be rusted. In this dark, I wouldn't take the risk. Oh, come on. I got myself all worked up for this adventure. Will we have to climb back up and find a rope or something? Don't worry, I'm always prepared for this kind of thing. Zyla pulls out a zipline and a grapple hook from her pouch near her belt buckle. She swiftly fixes it to one of the stable rungs above the leak. If there's a water leak, let's hope it hasn't damaged Pandora's box. I think it'll be fine. It's only here because this is an uninsulated service hatch. The other rooms should be okay. Hope you're right. Me too. Okay, it's ready to go. Best way to do this, take as much weight as you can with your arms on the line. You can use your legs to step down on the rungs, but don't let all your weight rest on them. Compensate with your arms. The ground looks only to be about 4 meters down from here. Let's go one at a time. Zyla quickly and flawlessly makes her way down in the way that she described to the group, safely making it to the middle ground beneath her. Okay, none snapped off. Ika, you're up next. One by one, they all make their way down the shaft. Elijah takes longer than the others before him, but nonetheless makes it down with no trouble. Ooh, that was a bit scary. Okay, Levi, you're up. Oh man, this is unfair. I'm so much heavier than all you guys. Come on, I thought you were the muscles around here. More muscle, more weight. Hurry up, Levi. Making several groans and grunts, Levi gradually makes his way down with obvious strain, before suddenly a metal snap rings out. Levi, you okay? The baby's fine. It was the very final rung before the ground that snapped. He's just a big sook. Picking himself up off the ground, after being sprawled out on his back, Levi dusts himself off and sheepishly responds, "Yeah, well, I didn't know that while it was snapping." Anyway, we all made it down safely. We'll leave the line here for the next time. Let's have a quick look to determine where we are. After a quick scan with their flashlights, it becomes obvious to them there isn't much to explore. Seems there's only one small utility room on this level. Well, there also looked to be a small shaft heading down past those pipes. I didn't give it a good look, but it seems to lead to a dead end. Well, I guess we know where to check then. Let's hope we finally found it. They open the thick metal door as darkness greets their entrance to the room. Using their flashlights, they find the light switch and advance into the room. Upon entering the room, before them sits a device of strange appearance. It somewhat resembles the device from the underground tunnels, yet the elegance of the design and the recessing of the screen on the far side appears vastly more crude. It is the first prototype Tempest machine from 2043, Pandora's box. It's here. Yes! Ah, that's a huge relief. Not as together looking as the other one, though I guess that's to be expected for a prototype. Excellent, it's here. Jasper, let's try booting it up. Make sure it's still working. Jasper nods as he begins to inspect the device. Okay, seems to have power and no signs of damage. Let's turn it on and see what happens. The machine makes a gentle humming noise as the monitor activates. Sounds promising. The screen jolts into colour as a login screen appears before them. It works! Okay, it's all booted up. Elijah, it's all you now. We need you to log in. It's just like you did on the last one. Elijah hesitates for a moment before Ika gives him a quick word of encouragement. You can do it, Elijah. Don't overthink it. Just like last time. Alright, let's see. Elijah slowly steps forward toward the unit and stretches his hand out toward the touchpad. Closing his eyes and taking a deep breath, he allows his hand to move freely, and once again his fingers naturally dance across the smooth surface. Did it work? We're in! Yes, great job, Elijah! Zyla beams at Elijah. In response, Elijah awkwardly looks away, but can't help a small smile creep into the corner of his lips. Excellent. Okay, Jasper. What's showing up? Let's see. I want to leave a girl waiting. What's on there? Well, the hard drive with the unit is almost completely empty, except for a single audio file sitting on the main screen. It's not a Tempest message though, it's just a file that's been loaded onto the hard drive manually. The file is named Listen. Well, it's obviously from the founder then. Well, even I can figure that one out. Let's hear it. Yes, play it for all to hear, Jasper. Alright, here it goes. Hello, Elijah. It's Tara. I left this message in the hope that you would one day find your way here in search of that old Tempest receiver unit we built together all those years ago. To think one of our prototypes actually worked without us ever knowing. The woman in the message trails off and momentarily pauses. Elijah, I know things have been difficult between us, especially since... well, you know. No, we don't know. Come on. Shh. Anyway, this is way more important than either of us or anything that has happened between us. Despite everything, you're still the only person who knows about this unit, and the only person I can trust with it. If you're here now listening, it means you got my message and you actually came. Firstly, thanks. I know you hate all this stuff, so it means a lot you showed up. I'm going to keep this short. I chose this facility to store it in because of the remote location. It's part of an old decommissioned underground hydroelectric station. This is part of the research and maintenance section. Bosk have since torn most of it down, but this section remained abandoned since the mid-40s. It should be the perfect spot for it to remain hidden and for you to lay low in. I've cleaned and fixed up the place, so make sure the batteries and essential functions are working, so you should be able to stay here for some time without any trouble. I don't know what to do with this old Tempest receiver, to be honest. It's not like I have a plan. I just know the ability to send a Tempest message to a time before Bosk could be significant in stopping them. Elijah, I know I don't have much time left myself. Bosk views me as an inconvenience with all the knowledge I possess, and it's obvious they don't need me anymore. They'll probably look to take me out soon. I hope that by keeping this unit hidden away from them, as my final act, I'm at least fighting back in my own way, even if I've mostly been nothing but their tool. Elijah, I don't think I'll get to say goodbye in person. I don't even know where you are right now. I still haven't told you everything. Search for Operation Regenesis. It isn't related to Bosk, but I hope it may give you closure at the end. I really am a coward. Not being able to tell you even now, I suppose we're both just way too stubborn. I guess that's all there is to say, really. Goodbye. I hope you eventually find your peace. A short silence fills the room in response to the revelation, until Amelia breaks the tension. Well, Elijah, looks like something went down between you two. It does, but what exactly was, who knows? She didn't really give us any information other than, now at least we know how this Tempest receiver got here. So originally Dr. Tara Evans hid this machine away for you, Elijah. I guess you never got her message. The founder must have gotten hold of it instead somehow. Either that or I got her message and ignored it. Doesn't sound like we're on the best terms from the way she was speaking. When was this message recorded, Jasper? Let me check. The file was created in December of 2052. Only months before her death, it looks like. I wonder how she tried to send you the message. She likely sent it through your encrypted Tempest account, if I were to guess. I think if I search through those backup files I have from the Tempest machine, I'll find a message to you. I still haven't gotten through all of them yet. She also said this place was a station of some sort. A high something? She said it was an old underground hydroelectric station. It's basically an underground facility that generates power by placing turbines and underground water sources. She mentioned something about looking up Operation Regenesis as well. Wonder what that's about. Don't know. But she said it had nothing to do with Bosk. Sounded like something personal between the two of you guys. We can look that up later. I think for now we should focus on the task at hand. True. Okay, Jasper, let's look up the Tempest identifier and save it. This is what we came here to do after all. Once we have that, it'll be possible to send information back to a time before Bosk, and potentially give us the upper hand. Okay, I'll look it up. 1 second. Jasper takes a minute to look around the settings of the unit, while the rest of the group look on with an intense silence. Here we go, found it. Wow, the identifier is huge. Looks like I'll have to download it. That's a seriously long string of numbers. Yeah, of course, the numbers are inputted as parameters within the software to locate the correct entangled particles in the Tempest field for communication. That's a huge amount of parameters, so the number is huge. Elijah, what did you just say? How do you know that? Eyes query Elijah as he drops his head and gives a stilted response. Oh, I don't know, it just came out. That is strange. I can't even remember now. What was I saying? Elijah's breathing starts to increase in pace as worry creeps across his face before Zala interjects. It's okay, don't worry about it. You're fine. Elijah is unresponsive, as his downcast and glazed look suggests he is momentarily oblivious to his surroundings. Stay calm, Elijah. It's likely that this kind of memory is stored along with your semantic memory, meaning because it is ingrained knowledge, it flowed out from you in a similar way to other forms of basic knowledge. Kinda like how you still know the alphabet, even if you don't have the personal memory of learning as a child. There are some things you still do remember, Elijah. The knowledge is still there inside you somewhere. It just depends on the way in which your brain attempts to access the information, as to if it gets blocked. This is to be expected, nothing's wrong. Right, yeah, okay, you're right. This bizarre disconnect, it happened again. I can't even control it. Something just feels off. But now isn't the time for this, I gotta pull myself together. Sorry, I guess I just got kinda confused there for a second. Elijah takes a moment to concentrate on slowing his breathing. I'm okay now. Take your time though. After a few minutes of relative silence, Jasper announced the completion of the task at hand. Okay, it's finished transferring the identifier across the device. Mission complete. Great, we did it, everyone. This is a turning point for us in our struggle against the Bureau. One step closer to crushing those bastards. So whilst I have my device still plugged into the machine, shall we watch the message from the founder? I believe he followed everything he asked of us. He may now shed some light on what to do next. Let's do it. I'm excited to hear what crazy scheme we'll be up to next. Yes, let's play it. We've waited, just like he said. Let's listen to what he has planned for us. Alright, we're going to wrap this one up here because I've already let it run on a little bit too long because I was just too interested to see what the message is going to be. That was fascinating though. We'll leave the founder's message for the next episode and then we'll know what we're going to be doing next. But we have a weapon against Bosk now. We can just undo them, just like that. Like they never existed. Crazy. Although we still need them to exist enough to get rid of the pandemic, I suppose. Well, we'll see. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sticking out with me, and I'll see you in the next one.